ورحمة الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره، نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. جزاك الله خير. من يهده الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، خير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وشر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. Is the speaker in there? Inshallah, tonight we proceed with our lectures, and just before we start, as you all know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with the trip to perform the faridah of al-Hajj, and by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we completed the rituals and the obligations, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now we have nothing else to say but to pray that Allah accepts our endeavors and the endeavors of all those who performed Hajj this year. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the opportunity to anyone here who did not get that opportunity yet and that chance, to make it easy for him or her. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the taste of performing Hajj. And a couple of hours before I came, I was speaking to my mother back in Jordan, whom I met with my father there, alhamdulillah, and I think that's their third or fourth Hajj. And I was talking to her, and she's back in Jordan, and she was saying how she's already making dua for Allah to give her the opportunity to be in Arafah next year. So it's a trip of struggle, and it's a trip of exhaustion and sickness. I don't think anyone goes there does not get sick. I thought I got through, and I got sick in the plane coming back. So, but it's amazing how you still want to go back. You come back from there, and the very first idea to your head is if I'm gonna be able to go back again. So inshallah, as they say, picture better than 1,000 words, and the experience of going there is better than any description you can ever hear unless you experience it, then you will know exactly what people who describe Hajj are referring to. So some people usually ask, what was the weirdest thing you've seen in Hajj, or the funniest thing that happened to you in Hajj? What happened to you? Why you're dark? You were in Hajj too? You got so much tan. So
it's got to be one very close.
It's either Hajj or soccer. So Allah, I said it wrong again. The funniest thing this time happened is we were going, as you know, the Haram in Mecca is 3 floors, and we were getting on the 3rd floor, and it's so crowded, and you have the Kaaba right in the middle, and you have the building around it. So we're getting into the roof, and this brother next to me looks at me and said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." He said, "Where's the Kaaba? Where's the Qibla?" So that was something I don't think I'll ever forget. Just like the first Hajj, when they were interviewing the brother on TV, and the Saudi TV there, and they were asking him, brother from outside Saudi Arabia, and they were asking him how you find the Hajj and this. So he said, start praising, I would like to thank the king and the kingdom and this and that, everything is easy, this and that, and I want to recommend anyone who wants to make Hajj should come here. So, sometimes things come out without, anyway. Tonight, inshallah, we'll talk about al-ila wa hukm. Al-ila wa hukm. We'll say what that means as we go on, inshallah. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: فصل: حق الزوجة في المبيت وحكم الإيلاء. ولها عليه المبيت عندها ليلة من كل 4 إذا كانت حرة، ومن كل 8 إن كانت أمة إذا لم يكن له عذر، وإصابتها مرة في كل 4 أشهر إذا لم يكن له عذر، فإن آل منها أكثر من 4 أشهر فتربصت 4 أشهر ثم رافعته إلى الحاكم فأنكر الإيلاء أو مضي 4 أشهر أو ادعى أنه أصابها وكانت طيبا فالقول قوله مع يمينه، وإن أقر بذلك أمر بالفيئة وهي الجماع، فإن فاء فإن الله غفور رحيم، وإن لم يفئ أمر بالطلاق، فإن طلق وإلا طلق الحاكم عليه، ثم إن راجعها أو تركها حتى بانت ثم تزوجها وقد بقي أكثر من مدة الإيلاء وقف لها كما وصفت، ومن عجز عن الفيئة عند طلبها فليقل متى قدرت جامعتها ويؤخر حتى يقدر عليه. Here this section Ibn Qudama rahimahullah talks about the rights of the woman over her husband regarding the sleep. That includes 2 parts. That is sleeping in her house, and also the conjugal relation, the intimacy, and that's very important. The way, as you all read, how the Prophet ﷺ has said that any woman whose husband invites her to his bed and she refuses, then the angels will curse her, and that is vice versa as well to the women. The women also have needs and they have desires and shahwa, and it needs to be protected. And as we said, this is one of the main aims of marriage, to protect the chastity of the man and the woman. So if a husband, we hear a lot of spouses complain, and that is, he wants me whenever he wishes, but when I need him, he's busy. And that's something, and then they use these ahadith that address the women. It's very important to understand this is a relationship that involves 2 parties, 2 people. So it's very important to understand the rights of each one and the duties and the obligations of the other. That's why you find the ulama specifying a section or a sub-chapter about this issue, and that is the issue of sleep. قل الله سبحانه وتعالى وعاشروهن بالمعروف. Live with them, with your spouses, بالمعروف, every way that is good, every good way possible, and live with them in a manner that's pleasing to Allah سبحانه وتعالى. يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: وإن لعمرو بن العاص وإن لزوجك عليك حق. The Prophet ﷺ tells Amr ibn al-As that your spouse has rights on you, as well as your body has rights on you. So it's very important to understand that Islam came to address all the affairs and the issues of the society. It's not a religion of worship, and it's not a religion of masjid, and it's not a religion of salah and siyam, and that's it. This religion addresses every single issue, as minute as you might think. It's very important. And if you look to divorces and to disputations and to arguments and to problems between husbands and wives, they're very minor issues that get escalated, and they're not handled the right way, that lead to divorce and separation and division and destruction of families. And Islam has addressed these things, so no one should say, why you talk about small things, there are more major things to worry about. Well, when the family is destroyed and the family is dysfunctional, then there is no society. Don't expect an ummah that does not know how to raise kids to be successful. Don't expect a successful ummah that the husband doesn't know how to treat the wife and the wife doesn't know how to treat the husband. Yani it's very, very sad scenes you see wherever you go in the Muslim world. And here we come back from Hajj, and يعني in the Haram in Mecca you find يعني الحرم المكي the capacity is almost 1 million people. It's almost 1 million. يعني 860,000 people fit in Haram, and that is يعني the capacity that they should, but you know there's always more. So you have more than 1 million people there praying at the same time. Once the Imam says istawu, straight in the line, you find everyone in line, and everyone is ready to pray, and they pray exactly how the Imam, they follow the Imam, the way they make sujood and ruku' and all that, exactly the Imam. But unfortunately, 30 minutes after the Imam says Assalamu alaikum and you step out of the Haram, you find 20 people can't make a line to buy bread. They're fighting to buy naan, in front of the Afghani bread place. They're fighting, 20 people can't straighten their line. This is يعني, as much as it sounds funny, it's a disaster. When 1 million can manage to be behind one Imam and they pray exactly the way he's praying, why 20 people can't manage? So that is what we're talking about, the separation of the deen from life. And that is something, yani that's what led to the destruction of other nations. And as you all know, the famous thing, the separation between the church and the state. It doesn't matter how far they can go, it will collapse. Yani anything that lacks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, its end will be, and its destiny is destruction. ألا كل ما خلى الله باطل ألا كل ما خلى الله باطل وكل نعيم لا محالة زائل إلا نعيم الجنة يوم القيامة. So everything that lacks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala فهو مبتور. Everything that lacks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is dysfunctional. It doesn't matter how much it can grow. يعني like a balloon, it gets big and big and big, and then at the end it will eventually blow up. So it's very important to understand every aspect and how Islam addresses every aspect. يقول المؤلف رحمه الله: ولها عليه المبيت عندها ليلة من كل أربع. And she has the right for him to sleep at her place once every 4 days. Every 4 nights, once every 4 nights. Now, ورد عند it's been reported Abd al-Razzaq has mentioned, you know Abd al-Razzaq San'ani, a woman came to Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu, and she said, يا أمير المؤمنين إن زوجي رجل لا يفتر عن العبادة. My husband is a man that does not stop worshipping, and does not quit. He's always in ibadah. During the day he's fasting, during the night he's praying. So Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu anhu said, بارك الله لك في أهلك. يعني may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and bless your husband. Then she said, إن أهلي لا يفتر, or إن زوجي لا يفتر عن العبادة. Then she repeated it again, and Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu repeated the answer again, may Allah bless you and bless your husband. And she repeated it 3rd time, and Umar radiallahu anhu repeated the 3rd time. قال كعب بن سوار, one of the people with Umar bin Khattab, قال يا أمير المؤمنين إنها تشتكي إليك زوجها. He said, يا أمير المؤمنين, and Umar al-Khalifa, she said, he said, Ka'b ibn Siwar, he said, she's complaining about her husband. She's telling you that he does not stop praying and worship. She's complaining. She's not praising him. And Umar radiallahu anhu admired the interpretation and the understanding and the sharpness of Ka'b ibn Siwar. قال فاقضي بينهم. So Umar told Ka'b, then you rule, you judge between them. Okay? Here is a husband who's into the ibadah, and no one says ibadah is wrong, and no one says ibadah is a bad thing, and no one says worshipping Allah is a bad thing. But when the worship of Allah, that is nafila, يعني voluntarily. Okay? Now this woman is not complaining about her husband praying Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib and Fajr and Isha. And she's not complaining about her husband fasting Ramadan. She's complaining about her husband fasting the extra days, the voluntarily days, and praying the extra salawat that he's not obligated to. As a result, he's neglecting the obligation. And that's a problem. Because fulfilling the needs of your family and standing on their needs is an obligation. So if you're neglecting the obligations for the voluntarily actions, then it becomes a problem. And this ibadah now is firing back at you. That's why she had the right to complain. So it's very important to understand this haythiyya and this concept, because you find a lot of brothers, they misunderstand this point. You find him focusing so much into the deen and into the da'wah, and at the same time his family is on the street begging. And he might leave them for months, and they're home, they don't have someone to take care of their needs. He does not provide for them before he leaves. He does not fulfill their needs. He doesn't leave them with money. So they have to go around beg for food, and to pay their rents, and to pay their light bills and water bill. So it's very important to understand this concept. So he told Ka'b ibn Siwar to judge, rule between them. She's complaining about her husband. He's not fulfilling his duties toward her and his obligations. So you rule. Umar wanted to hear what he gonna do. قال فإني أرى كأن لها 4 ضرائر أو 3 فتبقى لها ليلة من 4. He said, if we assume that he's married to 4, 3 and her, then she will get one of those nights. Every 4 nights she'll get 1 night, because القسمة dividing the nights equally is required. And we'll talk about what the ulama said about that later on. But it's required. So he said, if he would have 4 wives, then she will get 1 night every 4. So I ruled for her that he is obligated to be with her 1 night every 4 nights. Okay, so every 4 nights he should give her 1 night. 3 يشتغل بهن في العبادة وليلة يكون عنده. So now he has 3 nights where he can be busy with his ibadah, and 1 night for her. قال عمر والله ما أعجب بالثانية عجب من الأولى. Umar radiallahu anhu said, I was so impressed with your first understanding that she was complaining, but with your hukum I'm even more impressed. Okay? Someone got to be intelligent to think this way. Okay? And you will find that that perhaps the opinion of al-Jumhur, the opinion of the majority of Ahl al-Ilm, is at least she gets 1 night every 4 nights. But Ra'i ibn Abu al-Abbas, Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, other than that, and perhaps his opinion is stronger, as we will see what his opinion is. فيقول عمر والله ما أعجب بالثانية عجب من الأولى اذهب فقد وليتك قضاء البصر. He tells him you're amazing, you surprise me, you impress me, so go, you're the qadi in al-Basra. Basra in Iraq, and you know the people of Iraq, tough people. So he puts him as the qadi in Basra. And this the sanad is okay. It's not authentic, but it's not fabricated. It's okay sanad to يعني take this حكم from. هذا يسمى يعني قسم الابتداء. To divide between the women, when someone is married 4 wives, he needs to divide the nights between them equal. And you know how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was dying, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he asked to be treated in the house of Aisha. Look at his adab, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yani he's dying, and when you're sick, you don't want to be moving between houses. But even at that moment, he asked the permission of his wives that he stays in the house of Aisha. Yani his adab, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because he knows that they have rights that he stays with them. And even though they would love for him to stay in their house, but they allowed him because he liked sallallahu alayhi wasallam. ذهب جمهور هذا قسم الابتداء or قسم الابتداء is يعني out of every 4 nights the woman she has the right for 1 night. As we said, this is the opinion of al-Jumhur. Even if the person is not married to 4, okay, even if he's only married to 1, the maximum she can ask for, يعني her right, is out of 4 nights 1 night. Good luck telling our wives that. Alright? But that is the opinion of the majority of Ahlul Ilm. Okay? Now, Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, has different opinion. يقول إلا أنه لا يتقدر المبيت عندها إذا لم يكن لها ضرة، ويتوجه ألا يتقدر قسم الابتداء الواجب كما لا يتقدر الوقت، بل يكون بحسب الحاجة. فإنه قد يقال جواز التجويز ب4 لا يقتضي أنه إذا تزوج بواحدة يكون لها حال الانفراد ما لها حال الاجتماع. What all that means? He's saying, يعني if I could, he said the estimation of the hukm, يعني to give the ruling based on if he had 4 wives, really it's different than if he really has 4 wives. So يعني in other words, the assumption is different than reality. يعني if a woman knows that her husband is married to 3 more, okay, then her psyche and her mental will be, and her nafs will be prepared that, you know what, I can deal with 1 every 4 nights. But if he's not married to 4, then her mind and her thoughts and her needs are different. Why would she, يعني in other words he's saying, why should she accept 1 night every 4 nights if she can get 4 nights? You understand? That is what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah is saying. So he's saying it's really the reality is different than the assumption. Yes, we can assume if he has 4 wives, she gets 1, but he doesn't. He doesn't. So will she be willing to accept? And if he's married 4, then she has no right but to accept. You know what? I get 1 every 4. But when he's married, when he's not married but to her, then her acceptance of 1 every 4 might not be يعني acceptable for her. So he's saying every situation is different, and you have to look at every condition and every scenario, and that is how you come up with this and how you rule, and that is يعني very very sound opinion. يقول المؤلف إن كانت حرة, if she's a free woman, حرة يعني she's not a slave woman, and يعني that's when slavery existed, but they had to address these issues when they exist. A free woman gets 1 night every 4 if he's married to 4. And when we say a free woman, that includes a Christian or a Jew, if he's married to a Christian or a Jew. If he's married to 2 Christian women and 1 Jewish woman and 1 Muslimah, each one gets 1 night, equally. They're free women. Okay? But if he's married to Ama, that is different حكم. يقول المؤلف ومن كل 8 إن كانت أمة. And out of every 8 nights, if he's married to a slave woman, and we said there are rules and there are conditions for a free man to marry a slave woman. But if it happened that he did marry a slave woman, then her right is half of the right of the free woman. So she gets 1 night every 8 nights. Someone might say, but that's not fair. Well, that is fair, because if you look in the punishment, the free woman gets double of the slave woman. Okay? In adultery, the free woman gets stoned, or she gets stoned. A slave woman, she gets 50 lashes. Okay? So it's very the balance between this and that. يقول المؤلف إذا لم يكن له عذر. إذا لم يكن له عذر يعني he's saying the minimum she can get is 1 night every 4. That is if he doesn't have an excuse. What that means, if he has an excuse, a legitimate excuse, then maybe he can give her that night every 4 nights. If he's in prison, she doesn't even get that night. If he's traveling, she doesn't get that night. If he's sick, she might not get that night, as we give the example of the Prophet. So these rules that we have mentioned already, if there are no any excuses that prevent him from doing that. But if there are excuses, then it's a different story and a different أحكام. يقول الفقهاء إذا لم يكن له عذر غير العنة فإن كان عنينا فإنه يضرب له على الخلاف سنة. We said العنين is a person who cannot have intimacy with his spouse. العنين is someone who has sickness that he cannot be intimate with his wife, okay, for whatever reason. And we said the fuqaha said you give him a year. The woman gives him a year. If he still cannot have intimacy with him in a year, then she has the right to ask for divorce or khulu' or whatever the situation. But these days science and medicine can experts and all that, they can tell you if someone has problems. You don't need to wait a year to be able to diagnose such problems. So that is where the hukum changes. So العنين, someone who has an excuse. So 4 nights, 1 night every 4 nights. He can't even 1 night every 40 nights, So there's a problem. So such person has an excuse. If she accepts that he stays with her, or she accepts that she stays with him, then she is waiving her right for this intimacy. You understand? So that's why they said she gets 1 every 4, if he has no excuses. But if he has excuses and she waives her rights, then we're talking a different story. قالوا إن كان له عذر في عدم المبيت معه كان يسافر من غير حاجتها إنما هي حاجته كان يريد الزيادة في الرزق أو حبس وطال الأمد عليها فهل لها الحق في طلب الفسخ. But if someone, we said every 4 nights he needs to spend at least 1 night, as opinion of the majority. But if he says, you know what, I want to travel just to get more money, to make more, he doesn't need to travel. But he has a good opportunity. If he stays, he'll make decent money. He's making enough to satisfy his family and his needs. But he said, I got a good opportunity, I'm going to travel to make more money. She said, okay. Or she says, no. Now he's traveling not for a necessity. So if he's traveling and he's going to disappear for a year or 6 months, or he going to be neglecting her rights, because she gets 1 night every 4. So now he's staying away for months. She gonna lose on that. So is it permissible for her to ask for divorce or for fasq, to break the marriage? You know what? I can't handle that. I will travel. Again, pay attention that the reason for the travel is not a necessity. Okay? So the jumhur, the majority of Ahl al-Ilm, that she has the right for al-fasq. She has that right to break that, to go to a qadi, and he can break this marriage because her rights are being neglected. Because you remember when we talked about nafaqah, how the husband is required to spend on his wife, we said if he doesn't spend, then she has the right to ask for al-fasq. She has the right to ask to get out of this marriage. And this is nafaqah that she can get it from somewhere else. Maybe she can get it from her own money. Maybe she can ask her father. Maybe she can ask her relatives. But imagine if that is allowed in al-nafaqah, in money. Wouldn't be allowed in something that he is the only source, and that is the intimacy. He's the only one who can do that with her. So that is solid opinion. يقول المؤلف وإصابتها مرة في كل 4 أشهر إذا لم يكن له عذر. The ulama have an opinion that the man is obligated to sleep with his wife. Her right, okay, is once every 4 months. That is a very famous opinion. As Umar asked Hafs, it's said that Umar radiallahu anhu was walking between the houses of the Muslimin, checking on their situation. And he comes to a house where he hears a woman chanting, whose husband went out for jihad. So she's saying, تطاول هذا الليل واشتد ظلامه وأرقني ألا حبيب ألاعبه فوالله لولا الله لا رب غيره لحرك من هذا السرير جوانبه. Okay? She's chanting how much she's missing her husband and how much she's in need of her husband, and if it wasn't for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he's watching over her, then she might be doing something wrong. So Umar radiallahu anhu went to his daughter Hafsa and asked her how much the woman can stay away from her husband. How long can the woman stay without intimacy? She said 4 months. So he ordered after that no soldier should go out for more than 4 months. Every 4 months he should come back home. Okay? So that is very strong opinion, and actually very famous opinion, that the ulama said that her right is once every 4 months. Now, that is all based on the needs, and it's all dependent. Okay, it's all dependent. Okay, there's some, this is ilm, and there's no need to be shy of that. Some women, 4 months is like, she'll go crazy, right? Some women can go 2 years, she doesn't even care. So that is all irrelevant, okay? 4 months to apply 4 months for every single woman, it's different. The environment is different. In hot places, it's different than when it's cold. When there are kids, it's different when there are no kids. Stuff like that. So it's very dependent on many factors to come up with, and that is what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah has said when he talked, as we said, when he talked about 1 every 4 nights. So it's very dependent on the woman. When she needs it, then the husband is required to fulfill it. Okay, he's required to protect his family from the haram. Alright? But again, also not to go to the extreme where يعني salah is neglected and obligations are neglected, everything neglected, and two love birds and they got nothing else to la. Their obligations, okay, their needs, but there is balance. There is balance. But it's dependent on the individuals and how much they need it to protect themselves. يقول المؤلف فإن آلة. Now آلة, now we talk about حكم الإيلاء. This is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah. آلة يعني حلف. آلة حلف. And what they used to do and what they would do, someone will come to his wife, get into a fight with her, to our argument. He'll say, I will not sleep with you for 4 months. He's angry, okay? Or I will not sleep with you until the end of this year. Or I will not sleep with you for 3 months. Stuff like that. Now this is hukum. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about that in the Quran as we mentioned. So it's very important to understand what happens when someone does that. And what is the hukum of al-ila? Is it qasam? Is it a swear or an oath that must be fulfilled, and if you don't fulfill it, you're breaking it? Or if you continue with it, what happens? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala limits al-ila for 4 months. والذين يألون من نسائهم تربصوا 4 أشهر. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala determines that with 4 months. And perhaps that's why you see the 4 months in the hukum, that the woman, at least for every 4 months, the husband should have intercourse with her. Maybe that's also one of their adil. But the point is, what if someone swears that he's not going to sleep with his wife for 5 months? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses this issue in this ayah. Okay? In this ayah. يقول المؤلف فإن آلة والإيلاء هو حلف زوج مكلف ولو ذميا بالله سبحانه وتعالى أو بصفة من صفاته على ترك وطء زوجه في القبل 4 أشهر أو أكثر من 4 أشهر. في القبل 4 أشهر أو أكثر من 4 أشهر. تعريف الشافعية والمالكية والحنفية لابد أن يحلف بالله أو بصفة من صفاته بأن يقول والله لا أطأ أو والله بعزة الله وقدرته ألا أطأك. So in other words is if someone swears that he will not sleep with his wife, sleeping يعني conjugal يعني intercourse, okay? A kiss and a hug is not considered intercourse. Intercourse يعني when there is penetration. في القبل in the vagina, that is intercourse. So when he swears, the husband swears that he's not going to do that with his wife for 4 months or more, it's called ila. Okay, it's called ila, and that has hukum. And there is rulings that needs to be understood about that. Now, what if he says علي الطلاق لا أقربك 6 أشهر? He says يعني he swears by divorce that he will not sleep with her for 6 months. Is this considered ila? Because remember the definition said he swears he will not sleep with her. But what if he swears by divorce? As you know, like some people, علي الطلاق I won't sleep with you for 6 months. علي الطلاق يعني in other words, if I sleep with you within 6 months, you're divorced. علي الطلاق, you don't go to your family. يعني if you go to your family, you're divorced. Stuff like that. So is this considered ila? Because the period is over 6 months, is over 4 months, or it's considered only an oath. قولان عند أهل العلم والراجح أنه إله. يعني the ulama have 2 opinions, but the strong opinion that it is إله. it takes the same hukum. It takes the same hukum as this, as some of the ulama said, any type of swearing, any type of oath that includes not sleeping with the woman for more than 4 months or more will be considered ila. Okay, and the advice we give to the brothers: avoid this. Avoid this. It's becoming so rampant, and it's very common on the tongues, and on everyone is swearing by divorce, and I divorce you, and if you do this, you're divorced. This is very common in the Arab societies. I don't know what non-Arab Muslim societies if this is common, but let's go over this. Some people come and they want solution. For what? Wallahi, I divorced my wife and I don't know if I want to get back to her. How many times you divorced her? Wallahi, more than 100. Well, what you want me to do? Allah said 3. Okay, you divorce her 3 times, you're done. She cannot get back to you unless she marries someone else and she gets divorced. 100 times. So don't take this easily and leniently. And as the Prophet said, ثلاثة جدهن جد وهزلهن جد. 3 things, if you're serious about them, they take place. And if you're joking about them, they still take place. And one of them is divorce. So it's very important to take, because you have to think about it, especially if they are kids, there is destruction. And we also have a society where a divorced woman is not desired. Maybe not here, but most Muslim societies, if she's divorced, it's a life sentence that she'll never be married again. So it's very important to understand that and to avoid it. يقول المؤلف فإن آل منها أكثر من 4 أشهر. If he says to his wife, Wallahi, I will not touch you for 5 months or for 6 months or until the end of this year, and there's still 9 months in the year. Okay? He says ثم رافعته إلى الحاكم. فإن آل منها أكثر من 4 أشهر فتربصت 4 أشهر رافعته إلى الحاكم. He tells her, I'm not going to, I swear by Allah, I will not touch you for 6 months. She gives him 4 months. Because the ayah says 4 months. She gives him 4 months. By the end of the 4th month, she can take the issue to the qadi, to a judge, that is Islamic, or to a knowledgeable person, to imam, head of Islamic center, someone with knowledge. She takes the issue to him, and she knows that he has maximum of 4 months. After that, that's it, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the ayah. So al-hakim or al-qadi will look and will have to rule. So he brings the husband. يقول ثم رافعته إلى الحاكم فأنكر الإيلاء أو مضي 4 أشهر وادعى أنه أصابها وكانت تيبا فالقول قوله مع يمين. Now, when she takes the issue to the judge, to the qadi, few things can happen. First thing, he can deny. He said no. He can deny that he swore that he will not sleep with her for 5 months. Or he can deny that the 4 months did not take place yet. Or he can swear that he did sleep with her within those 4 months. If he claims that, then his word will be the decisive point. But he has to swear. And we're going to take his word. Okay? Because he's the one who inflicted this upon them, and al-asl is the continuation of the marriage contract. Al-asl, the default, is there is a marriage contract going on. A sound, valid marriage contract. So the default is to keep this going. So for her to be her word or his word, we're going to say his word prevail over hers, because his word, by denying this ilah, or by saying he did sleep with her, or by saying that 4 months did not go through, supports the idea of the marriage continuing. But if we're going to take her words, as we will see, and he doesn't deny, then it's going to be one of two things. And one of those two things is divorce. And the intent of the Sharia is to keep sound contracts valid and going and thriving. You understand? So that's why his word will take over her word if he denies the ila, or he claims he did sleep with her and she's tayyib, and she's not virgin still. Or the third thing, and that is the 4 months did not go. But he has to swear. Okay? He has to swear. وَإِنْ أَقَرَّ بِذَلِكَ أُمِرَ بِالْفِيَةِ. So now we said if he denied all this that he swore, or he denied that the 4 months didn't take place, or he denied he slept with her, that's it, that's fine. But you need to swear. He needs to swear, and then the rest between him and Allah if he's lying. But the marriage continues as, because if you think about it, if we're going to say that, no, we're going to put the word of the wife over his word, then any woman who wants to get out of marriage will just go and claim that he swore that he's not going to sleep with her for 6 months, and 4 months already passed. You understand? So it's very important to understand that. That's why his word goes over her. The second situation is, he doesn't deny. He said, yes, I swore, and the 4 months just passed. يؤمر بالفية. فية فإن فاءوا قال ابن عباس يعني الجماع. الجماع يعني intercourse. So he will be ordered to sleep with his wife. That's after 4 months. Even if there's still 2-3 months left on the swearing, after 4 months, if she takes him to court, to the judge, then the judge forces, he says, you either sleep with her or divorce her. If he sleeps with her, we're fine. We'll talk about what happened with the rest of the time. But if he says no, then the qadi orders him to divorce. And if he doesn't divorce, then the qadi will become his as they say, his representative, and he will divorce her on his behalf, even if he doesn't want, even if the husband doesn't want. Okay? Okay? So he, as if the qadi takes that power of attorney from him by him refusing to divorce her, where he's supposed either to sleep with her or divorce her. He doesn't want to do either, and she cannot be hanging like that. So the solution, so the qadi divorces her from him. ابن قدامة رحمه الله ثم رافعته إلى الحاكم فأنكر الإيلاء أو مضي 4 أشهر أو ادعى أنه أصابه وكان تيبا فالقول قوله مع يمين. We said if he denies, then it's his word, but he has to swear. وإن أقر بذلك, he admits that he swore and 4 months has passed or have passed, أمر بالفية وهي الجماع فإن فاء فإن الله غفور رحيم وإن لم يفئ أمر بالطلاق فإن طلق وإلا طلق الحاكم عليه. Okay? If he refused, he will be ordered to divorce. If he refuses to divorce, then the qadi will divorce her from him. Now if you look at the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنْ فَاءُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ وَإِنْ عَزَمُوا الطَّلَاقَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ سَمِيعٌ عَلِيمٌ. He said he's ordered either to have intercourse with her and break this drought and proceed with their marriage. But Allah said if he goes with the intercourse, as reviving the relationship again, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ is all forgiving, all merciful. يعني in other words, Allah says, فإن عزم الطلاق, يعني if they decided to divorce, فإن الله سميع عليم. Allah is all hearing, all knowing. If you look at the end of those two ayahs, what you think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves more? To continue with the marriage or the divorce? That's why when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the option of continuing by him having intimacy with her again, he says غفور رحيم, forgiving, merciful. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive you for what you've done. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you with His mercy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to proceed with this marriage. And wants you to continue the relationship and the house and glory and trust. Allah tells the Hajj, if you intend to harm her, then you will be forced to divorce her. إن عزموا الطلاق فإن الله سميع عليم. And if you're trying to harm her, Allah hears everything, knows everything. So don't think that Allah doesn't know what you're planning and what you're plotting and what you're thinking. Because He might have another wife. He might have 2 more wives or 3. So the one who's being harmed in this whole thing is that wife. So Allah is telling him, I know what you're doing. And I hear what you're saying. Okay? So obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants marriages to continue and try your best to solve problems. But يعني divorce also rahm. Sometimes divorce is rahm. There are situations that the absolute best solution for it is divorce. As you can see, people might kill each other. So it's very important to understand that. This 4 months past, is it the divorce takes place automatically? Okay? He refused the intercourse. In other words, if the qadi does not divorce them, are they divorced? If he still does not have intimacy with her? No. Except al-Hanafiya, al-Hanaf said yes, it's divorce. Once the 4 months pass, then we go to the next option, and that is divorce. Automatically they become divorced. But the opinion of al-Jumhur, no. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِنْ عَزَمُوا الطَّلَاقِ. Okay? And if they intend the divorce, if they want the divorce now, if it was automatically after 4 months the divorce takes place, then there is no need for Allah to say, and if they want the divorce, because then they're divorced already. So the opinion of the Jumhur that divorce does not take place unless it's initiated. Now, this talaq, when the husband is given the option, you divorce her, you sleep with her, or you divorce her. And he divorces her. Is it talaq raj'i am banat min? If he divorces her, can he take her back? Or is it a divorce that he cannot take her back unless she gets married to another man? قولان عند أهل العلم. القول الأول إنه طلاق رجعي وهو مذهب الجمهور. The first opinion, they said yes, he can take her back. Okay, he can take her back. القول الثاني إذا طلق عليه الحاكم أو طلقها فإنها طلقة بائن. The second opinion said no. If the qadi divorces her, then he cannot get back to her unless she marries someone else. And they're saying the reason for that is because the judge divorced her to remove the harm that he's inflicting on her. So how can we say he can take her back? Because if you're divorced once or twice, before the iddah passes, the husband can take back his wife anytime he wants, without a contract. And the witnesses, different opinions. Okay? If you're married and you divorce your wife, you're divorced. First time. Her iddah, she has to go through her period 3 times. During this period, you can take her back anytime you want. You don't need a new contract. Actually, she should stay in your house, and you're obligated to spend on her. And if you take her back, that's it. She's your wife again, the first time or the second time. So the ulama, they have different opinion. If the qadi divorces her, can I still take her back if it's the first or second time? Or I can't? Some said, yes you can. That is the majority. That is the stronger opinion. The other said, no. How can we say he can take her back if she was divorced by the qadi? Because she's being harmed. Okay? Then the answer to that is, then she can take him again to court and get divorced again until he cannot take her back anymore. That is only twice. Okay? But the point is trying to preserve the relationship as much as possible. يقول ثم إن راجعها أو تركها حتى بانت ثم تزوجها وقد بقي أكثر من مدة الإيلاء وقف لها كما وصفت. يعني the first time is the qadi divorces her, then the husband takes her back and everything is fine. Second situation, if he divorces her, her iddah passes, okay? Her iddah passes. Now he can take her back, but with a new contract, okay, as we have said before. طيب, if he takes her back and he does the same thing all over again, he swears that he's not going to sin. His hit is to harm this woman, okay, then now it's her word, okay, whatever she describes takes place. It's her word, because he has history now. Okay, he has history. وقف لها كما وصف. So now she takes him back to the qadi, and she says he needs to sleep with me, he needs to have intercourse, he needs الوطء والرجوع and return to me, or the qadi will divorce her. يقول المؤلف ومن عجز عن الفئة عند طلبه. طيب, someone swears he's not going to sleep with his wife 6 months. 4 months pass, she takes him to the judge, and the judge gives him the option. Either you sleep with her or you divorce her. He said, I want to stay with her and I want to sleep with her, but I can't now. Okay? Why someone won't be able to sleep with his wife, even if he wants? No. That's udhr. We said العنين, يعني someone who cannot have intercourse, period, يعني dysfunction. She has the right to ask for separation, to break the marriage, or to stay with him. That's her option. But this is someone who can, but he swore not to. And now he can, physically he can, يعني sexually he can, but there is something preventing him from doing it. Like he said, I will sleep with her, but you have to give me time. Who are the people that not allowed to have intercourse? He might be fasting. He might be in ihram. Okay? He might be away. He can. يعني. We're talking about يعني, is it hours or is it? Of course, when you're fasting, once you break fast, you can.
Maybe it's the charm, the other 3 wives that he has.
Possible. But I mean, يعني, I just mentioned this example to make it easier to understand. We're not talking about a few hours here or even a few days. We're talking about a long period of time. Okay? But even الإحرام, if you're in Hajj, your Ihram, يعني the maximum, you can be in Hajj and the maximum is 8, 9 and 10. And if you do the Ifada on the 10, you can have intercourse after that. That's Tahallul al-Akbar, yeah. Tahallul al-Thani. So 3 days. The same thing if it's turn for her, but she's the most appropriate, it's her turn now. Who else, yeah? You've been depriving me for months. So many. He might be in prison. He might swore and then he went to jail. And yes, he wants to sleep with her, but he cannot get out now. So he said, yes, I want to keep her. I want to stay with her, but I do it when I get out. Maybe he's traveling. Okay? So many reasons. But the whole thing is he has an excuse. But someone says, you know, I really want to get back with her, but I don't feel like sleeping with her now. And he doesn't have any excuse. La. Then he needs to divorce. Okay? But if he has a legitimate excuse that's holding him back from doing it, then that is what we are referring to. That's when he said, وَمَنْ عَجِزَ عَنِ الْفِيئَةِ عِنْدَ طَلَبِهَا فَلْيَقُلْ مَتَى قَدُرْتُ جَامَعْتَهَا وَيُؤَخِّرْ حَتَّى يَقْدِرَ عَلَيْهِ. Okay? So whoever cannot, then he says, then I will do it, but when I get the chance. Yani when I'm capable, if there's anything holding him back. Alright?
It is traveling for any reason, or but let's say that the example that you gave is traveling for more months. So maybe you have to come back right there.
Now remember, when we say ila and we talk about 4 months, we said that those 4 months, we are talking about the woman's rights to take action. But let's say someone said, I swear I will not sleep with you for 6 months. The wife said, all right. Can she stay 6 months and then everything is fine again? She doesn't have to take him to qadi or anything? Sure. Here we are discussing the rights of the wife. What her rights, what the Sharia and the Shara gives her. If your husband tells you he's not going to sleep with you for a year, then after 4, you give him 4 months maximum. After 4 months, you can take him to court and you get divorced. But if she says, you know what, I did something horrible and I deserve this, I'll be patient, I'll wait a year or 6 months. That's fine. She has waived her right. She doesn't have to, but she waived. So if she comes after 4 months, she comes to the judge and the husband is traveling for fun. So they call the husband, listen, this 1, 2, 3, your wife came, and what you want to do? You either sleep or you divorce. He said, I'll sleep, but I'm away. And I'm not going to cancel my plans. I come back in 2 weeks. Okay? Then it's her right. Can you wait 2 more weeks? You understand? But also you have to look at it from the aspect that when he went on this trip, this issue of his wife taking him to court is not in his mind. Okay? So maybe the judge, and remember, the judge will determine also, will look at the whole scenario. He can tell her, okay, you wait 2 more weeks. Okay? But if she says, you know what, I can't wait 2 weeks, and this man doesn't have to be away for 2 more weeks, okay, then she has a very legitimate argument. Okay? Now, if it's 6 months and 4 months go, like within those 6 months, after 3 months, he regrets. He said, you know what, I think I rush to make this. Can he break his sweat? Can he says, you know what, I'm changing my mind, I'm gonna sleep with you. What is better? To finish the 6 months or to break his oath? I forget it's 6 months. You might say, okay, but 4 months is maximum. 3 months. Someone swears that he's not going to touch his wife for 1 month. What's better? To break his oath or to wait the month? Break it? Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Bukhari and Muslim, he said that he never made an oath, and he would find something else is better, but he will change, and he'll do the kafar. What's the kafar? La siyam, la, that's fasting. That's when you cannot do the other things. You got 3 things. You have the option to do either one. Free a slave. Most of us cannot find one. Feed 10 people or clothe them. If you can't do any of those, then you fast 3 days. And they don't have to be consecutive. Alright? Oh, these days, everything fast. Just fast 3 days. Just for that. And feeding 10 people is not like buying them bread and giving them, here's a loaf of bread, here's a loaf. La. You feed them what you feed your family. أوسط ما تطعمون أهليكم. Whatever you accept to feed your family, you feed them. Okay? Or you clothe them. You clothe your family from Macy's, you don't go clothe these 10 people from Kmart. Right? Just like that. Now, if he swore 6 months, and then she takes him to the judge after 4 months, and the judge tells him you have to sleep with her, did he break his oath or not? If he slept with her? Sure. Yes, he sleeps with her and he still have to do the kafara, the expiation of breaking an oath. Clear? So it's better to break the oath if you find something else is better. Alright?
Does she have the right after the 4-month fast? Let's say he swore for 6 months and she remembers after the 6 months. If she has that, she can still for 4 months.
Of course.
Going back to the example of the wife's rights, when the husband wanted to travel to a settlement their family came from for 4 months, said that wasn't allowed. What about if he is seeking the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What is the time period that's allowed to be away from the family?
If we remember, there is obligations and there is waiving of rights. If, let's say, someone goes to a trip to seek knowledge, now there is knowledge that you're obligated to seek. Okay? There's knowledge that every Muslim is obligated to learn. And these are the things, the knowledge that you have to know to be able to fulfill your obligation. But there is a lot of knowledge that not everyone or every Muslim is required to know. Yani, for example, fiqh al-farad, the rulings of inheritance. Not every Muslim is supposed to know this knowledge. When this issue takes place, you go to the ulama, to the students of knowledge, to the people of knowledge, and they'll give you what you need. But the requirements of fulfilling you or learning the knowledge that you're obligated to learn, that's one thing. So we don't need to be mixing this with that. Okay? If a husband comes to his wife and he tells her, listen, I want to travel overseas or wherever to learn and I have to stay there for a year. She says, may Allah bless you, go for it. We'll be here waiting for you. That's it. We don't have any problem with that. Okay? We don't have any problem with that. But if the wife comes and says, La, Allah obligates you, now here we're going to get in the issue of, because this is not ilah, he's not swearing. The man is not swearing that he's not going to do it, because he might go and not like it in 2 weeks and come back. But she understands that he has to leave for a year to learn. So she's not going to get that. She still has, based on the opinion that the ulama said, one opinion said that Jumhur yani, at least he needs to sleep with her once every 4 months. So if she goes with that opinion, then he is obligated to be with her every 4 months. And if he fails to do that, especially now he's learning or seeking knowledge that he's not obligated to seek, because the knowledge he's obligated to seek, he can seek it where he is. Then yes, she has the right to take him to the qadi. Clear? But if she waives that, if she says no. Now if we go with the other opinion, and that is, no, 4 months, that's too much for me. A woman can say, no, 4 months is too much. And I need at least once every month, once every 2 weeks, for example. Then she takes her condition to the qadi too. Because the intent of marriage is to protect the chastity. So if a woman starts feeling, you know, my husband is, alhamdulillah, good man, and he's going to learn the deen, but me personally, I don't have the ability to control my desire. So if he cannot be here for me, then I cannot, and he's insisting to be on that journey, then you know what? That's fine. But I need to fulfill my desire. So I'm gonna marry another man. I'm gonna ask for separation. Understand? So at the bottom line is the right of the woman, and then she can waive it if she thinks she can. Now we don't say that, okay, you tell your husband, go do whatever you want, may Allah bless you, and then once he leaves you start complaining, and then you gotta do the haram and then blame the husband. La. And this is by no means is the wife is the one giving the permission to the husband, but this is her right. She's the one who has the right to waive it, or to spare it. So it's very important to be understood. Okay? Clear? Answer your question?
The husband divorced the wife 3 times. See, but after the 3rd time, he married somebody else, and he married him, and he divorced her a 4th time.
No, it's not 4th, it's his first.
Huh?
That's a new husband. Or that's that first husband married her again.
He married her again.
After she divorced 2nd time from the 2nd husband?
It feels like he married a lady, the same lady.
Hey.
He divorced her
3 times. Okay.
She married somebody else.
Okay.
And
he divorces
him. They went back to get the same husband again.
We start counting new. He get a fresh count, a new count.
Okay.
All right. Good question.
When the woman takes the husband to the court and he denies,
Yeah.
it wasn't 4 months, and he gets to have Yamin Ramos, the time when he's swearing falsely.
يعني he's swearing that and he's lying?
Yeah,
of course. هي اليمين الغموس تغمس صاحبها في النار. يعني when someone swears by Allah and he's lying, and we said that's only يعني most probably the only two who knows that is Allah and the wife, because she hears it. That is غموس. But by no means the hukum does not يعني transfer to the contract. Still, the marriage is sound. And remember, he did not divorce her and now he's swearing he didn't. He just swore that he will not touch her. So in other words, he's just breaking his oath. So maybe in the back, behind everyone, he's going to go and feed 10 people, for example, and he will repent from this way. But again, the swearing does not make a couple who are not married. The swear he's making is not bringing people who are supposed to be divorced to marriage. You understand? They're already married. So he's just swearing that he did not do that, or he did not swear by that. And if you think also about it, if she comes and she says 4 months, he's given the option. Sleep with her and everything is over. And there's no problem anymore. So why someone would need even to deny? But here they're saying just in case. Okay? All right.
One more just briefly. Just to summarize, Sheikh, are you saying
Sure.
that the wife's and the family's rights are greater than the husband's desire for either ilm or ibadah that is not obligatory?
Sure. Their rights. Yes. The rights that the Shar' gives them. Okay? Not the rights that they made up. Okay? Because sometimes a wife has certain ideas and she wants to enforce them as rights. La. Okay? We already talked about the rights of the wife over her husband. In this vicinity, those are rights. Yes, those are more important than voluntarily ibadah. Because with the right intention, they're ibadah as well. Okay? If you don't pray your sunnah, for example, or your qiyam, Allah will not hold you accountable. But if you neglect your wife's rights or your kids' rights, well, that's a disaster. Okay? Yes. قل قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد. جزاكم الله خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.